The Postclassic Maya tradition. Who? The Postclassic Maya period was the aftermath of the Preclassic and Classic Mayan period. Postclassic Mayans were known to be very violent, but have lots of royalty, or hierarchy in this matter. Within the Mayan society, there were four main roles, or classes, that each person was divided into. Starting from the highest, we have the Maya Almenhenob, which was considered to be the nobility. Those were the elites of a Mayan society who made most of the big decisions within the Mayan community, whether it was small or big. Next, there was the Mayan Akinob, the priesthood. Now, the priesthood was in charge of the temples and making sure that all of the rules within a religious culture were being followed. Next, you had the Maya Kimball Union, which was considered to be the common people. These were your normal agriculturalists, traders, and service makers. And lastly, you had the lowest of the low, the Maya Pinkatob. These were the slaves who did work for the nobility, the priesthood, and even the common people. Now, within the society, you had someone who was considered to be the lord or the ruler. These were the most powerful of the ruling elite, and these were considered to be called halak uinik.
What? Archaeologists discovered during the post-classic Maya many art materials and significant structures. An example of art found back then would be pottery, mosaics, and incense burners. For materials, it would be hardwood, limestone, chert, and other materials that are on the next slide. And for significant structures, there were many pyramids and altar sites found. Important archaeological sites to the Maya. Chichen Itza is an example of this, and it's a city in Yucatan, Mexico, and it's significant because it's the center for trade and religion, and there's a photo of this in the top right corner on the pyramid-looking structure. The next example of this is Tikal in Guatemala, and this shows evolution of the Maya from hunter-gathering to farming. Another example is Uxmal. This is the finest example of Maya architecture, and a picture of this is underneath the top right picture, and this is another pyramid-looking structure. And the last one is Mayapan, and this is a political and cultural capital of the Maya. Material structures and artifacts that were found during the post-classic Maya were, for materials, chert, chalcedony, limestone, calcite, and hardwoods. An example of chert is the upper left photo, the gray-looking rock, and on the right of it is an example of what chalcedony looks like. For structures, some examples are the Pyramid del Adivino, and that is the lower left picture. Also, Toltec architecture and Chacmul's sacrificial altar statue, which is from Chichen Itza, and this is in the lower middle photo, and the Casa del Gobernador, and that's on the lower right-hand corner. For artifacts, we see that they found pottery, incense burners, and mosaics. An example of what the pottery would look like is on the first slide, which is the red-looking vase with the engravings stamped in.
When? The post-classic Maya period lasted from 900 AD until the Spanish conquest. This period was known to be a very militaristic, decadent, and degenerate phase of Mayan history. Within the post-classic Maya period, there was a geographic shift from Central Maya to the Yucatan. Now, while there was kings and lords and priests, we also see there was a big cultural shift from a deeply religious culture dominated by the priests and kings to one more focused on trade. Rather than a social focus on ceremonial rituals, This period focused mostly on commerce. This meant that many different Mayan cities gained importance, essentially meaning that the cities that were closest to trade routes and commerce were the ones that gained most importance. As you can see in the pictures, the one at the top on the right, you see a post-classic Mayan period trade route from AD 1400 to 1600, and you can see that it is located on the coastal regions as it was shifting from Central Maya to the Yucatan. On this lower picture here, right below that picture, there is a timeline of the Maya periods, signifying when the post-classic Mayan period occurred. And lastly, on the left of that, you see a map of the post-classic Mayan period from 900 AD into the 1500s, and you see where all of Maya is located and its archaeological sites.
My name is Mariana, and I'll be talking about the key archaeological sites of the post-classic Mayan tradition. The key sites are Chichen Itza, Uxmal, and Mayapan. Chichen Itza is in the top right, and that's actually a picture of the structure called El Castillo, which translates to the castle. It's a very popular Maya ruin in Mexico. Then we have Uxmal in the bottom right corner. This is an image of the governor's palace, which is to the left of the image, and to the right of the image, there's a temple called the Temple of the Divine. Lastly, we have Mayapan in the center of the slide. This picture is actually of my family. We visited the Mayapan archaeological site near Merida, Yucatan in 2019, and we're the family at the very top of the structure waving. Next, I'll be talking about the geography of the tradition and its strategic importance. The geography of this discovery focuses on the northern and central regions of Yucatan, Mexico. Yucatan has a karst terrain due to its geological aspects like cenotes and caves. There are many strategic importances within the Mayan sites. The main strategic importances, however, are trade routes, agricultural development, political power, and certain defensive advantages due to the wilderness. Natural resources significantly shaped the post-classic Mayans. There are many different natural resources that can be tied to their culture. For example, cenotes provided fresh water, which was essential for basic living, but they also had religious and ceremonial significance to them. Another natural resource that impacted the Mayans immensely was limestone. Limestone was what allowed them to create their structures. Lastly, agriculture was a huge cultural practice that the environment shaped.
Why is this archaeological site considered a great discovery? This archaeological site is considered a great discovery because of its architecture, achievements, and its city-state civilization. They have built architectures like El Castillo, Pyramid in Mayapan, and the Pyramid of the Magician, and each of them had roles. For example, El Castillo served as a religious temple and as a cosmic calendar. Their achievements in art, economy, and writings were also significant. They had a unique art in things like pottery, and their economy was well-functioning with trade and agriculture. Its city-state civilization consisted of numerous small states, each centered around a city, and also served multiple purposes like trade, political, military, and religious centers. It's important in terms of its place in human history because it was a big and well-functioning city-state civilization that collapsed due to several reasons, including disease, droughts leading to failing crops, losing trust in leaders, and war. Although the people did not disappear, it ended the period of the Mayan civilization. Why should this great discovery be preserved, and who should be responsible for preservation? It should be preserved because the Mayan civilization is one of the biggest and most known city-state civilizations during their period, their cultural uniqueness and its richness, and because it tells us about the history of the Mayans who lived there. Who should be responsible for preservation? Of course, the government should help preserve the sites, and also UNESCO should provide assistance to help preserve the sites. And I think that we as tourists should respect and help preserve the historical sites made during the post-classic Maya.
Archaeologists excavated and analyzed the culture of the post-classic Mayans by using fieldwork and analysis. They would conduct excavations by digging and recording the sites. They would also map out the sites, and this would help them understand the organization behind everything. They often recovered artifacts that would tell them about their lives and how they would live. Lastly, they used other fields like geology and chemistry to understand other aspects of the Mayan culture. The main scientific methods used were DNA, soil analysis, and geophysics. Moving on to what technologies the post-classic Mayans used and how did they create their buildings and artifacts. There are many ways the Mayans used technology. They used technology through agriculture and advanced farming techniques. They also used engineering techniques to build their temples. They used math and astronomy to align buildings with celestial events, and they used water management as another form of technology. By using local limestones, engineering methods, and masonry, they were able to create their durable buildings. They used stone tools and natural pigments along with their artisan skills to create these artifacts.